This is the second part of the introduction to skills number 5, 6, and 7, patterns in relationships. What I'm going to go over is some of the common patterns in relationships that you're going to see come up. And what they're going to be are options. I mean, literally options in your multiple choice questions of these skills, which are, what did I say, 5, 6, and 7? Now, what I mentioned in the other video was that the only difference between skills 5, 6, and 7 is where you look for the answer. Skill 5, which is organizational pattern, you're going to look at the entire passage. Skill 6 will be between 2 sentences, and skill 7 will be between 1 sentence. And whatever question you're getting on your test or your practice, it will tell you whether or not you're looking at the whole passage between sentences or within a sentence. So that part's just dependent on the question, and then you zoom in or zoom out to whatever area it's asking you. But now the options are all the same. And what I mean by that is whatever you're getting in that small area, very specifically, or in that large area, you're going to have to be thinking about these particular kinds of meanings that can be in the sentences. All right, I'm going to start out with ones that require some kind of order, but first I'm going to do the one that requires no order at all so that we can kind of use these two categories to understand each of them. Because if we see patterns that don't have order and we see patterns that do have order, it helps us understand both kind of pattern. A pattern that has no order is called addition. An addition pattern means that there are a minimum of 2 pieces of meaning. All right, so that's taking a long time to write. Okay, so let's call that something else. A minimum of 2 pieces of meaning, okay, or at least a minimum of 2 details. Let's call it that. And what the author is telling you is that there's, detail A and detail B. So there's our 2, and they simply want you to say that they both exist. Okay? That's addition. And here's the thing with addition is that they don't have any order to them, right? So in a sentence, I could mention A first and B second, or I could mention B first and A second, and there's no change in the meaning. It means the exact same thing. So the details can be flip-flopped. Remember, there's no order when it comes to addition. It's just these 2 things both exist, but it's not like they have anything to do with each other than the author has decided to mention them. There are other words that addition's called. It can be called simple listing. And you'll get simple listing when there's usually 3 or more, because a list requires 3 or more. Addition you'll probably get when there's a pair, 2, though they're interchangeable. So you wouldn't ever have to pick between addition and listing. All right, going over to order. Let's say we have 2 things, and they're both mentioned, they both exist, but now they have to be in a certain way. We cannot flip-flop them. Well, there's a variety of orders that can be used. One of the main orders that we use in our day-to-day lives is time order. Time order means that you have a minimum of 2 details, so 2 little pieces of information, especially if it's within a sentence. Minimum of 2 details. And what about them? One is happening before the other. So that means the other one is happening after the first one. Or both are happening at the same time. Notice the idea is time. It's happening. Okay? So what we're dealing with here isn't just A plus B. It's A comes first and then B comes second on a timeline. And you cannot flip them. They cannot be flip-flopped because that would just totally change the meaning. Here, flipping and flopping them will not change the meaning. With time order, A has to come first, B has to come second. Now, that does not mean that A caused B. That's going to be a different pattern. With time order, it's just simple events in time. So for instance, I could have woken up, and then I could have driven to school. Now, let's hope you are awake driving to school, but let's think about this. Logically, waking up didn't make you go to school. You could have woken up and not gone to school. So it's not the waking up that made you go to school. That would be cause and effect. But did you wake up before you went to school? Yes. And like I said, let's hope so. All right, so there's time order. So it is addition. All these patterns are going to be addition because think about it. All these patterns do have information in them. So you kind of look for an upgrade system. If you have two pieces of information, but you cannot flip-flop them, then you know you do not have simple listing or addition. So once you figure out that they cannot be flip-flopped, then you know you got to look to see what kind of order does it have. Time order is one of them.